All right, so we just covered how to truly maximize the long-term relationships that you have with your clientele through subscriptions. Now we're going to break down how to truly maximize the short term, right? The small time frames through a service that's called the cleanup. All right, so let me break it down. The cleanup service is less than a full haircut, but a little more than just an edge up. And this type of service creates a win-win situation for an issue that most barbers either ignore or are totally against, which creates an amazing opportunity for you. Offering a service like the cleanup will attract a specific type of client that is really healthy for your business, all right? The type of person who values time, or the type of person who has a budget. You know, a lot of barbers are charging way more in prices nowadays, which means you're more in a luxury category, but there's still a lot of people out there who value services who may not be ready to spend that kind of money. Or maybe it's not payday, but they still want to come in. How can you offer value to them through this service called the cleanup? If you're going to have a business that truly thrives no matter what the economy is doing, no matter what day of the week it is, having diversity is key. Diversity meaning having different types of services that you offer to attract different types of people and bring in people who may be on a budget, like I mentioned earlier. You could think about it like diversifying your portfolio. If you are an investor, it's important to have different types of stocks, right? So that way, if one goes down, the other might be going up, and it really creates balance. This is what this service will do for your income. Now, if you're introducing this to your clients for the first time, the best way to do this is one-to-one, right? Directly while they're in the chair, while you're talking with them or potentially cutting their hair, letting them know that you offer an extra service now. Now let's discuss price point. What should you charge for this service? Well, in my opinion, it should be around $30 or so, between $25 and $35. Why? It should be more than what you currently charge for just a lineup, but still less than a full haircut. All right, so figure out what that sweet spot is. For me, I charge $30 for my barbershop. Everybody in the shop, we charge $30 for the cleanup service. Next, let's discuss the major reasons why you need to implement a service like this. There's 3 of them. Number 1 is it's key for redefining value. I talk often about barbers not really valuing time or putting it up on the same level as their skill set. This service creates that for you. Because it's such a short time frame, it really pushes people into the mindset of time frame. So they know they only have 15 minutes. Now, it may be a busy executive, and that's really who I get who books this appointment most frequently are busy executives who are in between haircuts and just need something cleaned up for just a work meeting or maybe they're going out on the weekend, right? They don't need the full $80 service that you provide, okay? This person will book this type of service, guaranteed. The second major reason that you need to implement this is it warms up your clientele for a price change, all right? Let me give you a really clear example, okay? Let's say that you charge $50 for a full haircut that takes 30 minutes. Having a cleanup service that takes 15 minutes, but you charge $30, now that says that your time is worth $120 an hour. So it's already increasing the prices of everything else that you offer because they are agreeing that your time is worth $30 for a 15-minute spot. I hope that makes sense for you, all right? If not, pause it, rewind it. The fact that you are getting your current clientele to book a new service that increases the price point that you make per hour is key to you raising the prices with longer time frame services. So if clients for 6 months start to embrace the cleanup service and pay $30 and sometimes tip you $10 for that service, they're saying, hey, I'm agreeing, Mike, that you are worth me paying you $30 for a 15-minute time slot. So that means that for a half an hour time slot, you can charge $60. So potentially you can charge $90 for a 45-minute spot, up to $120 for a hour slot, right? Real life example, that's currently what I'm doing with my services. Currently, while I'm recording this video, $30 for a cleanup, which is 15 minutes, $60 for a half an hour, $90 for 45 minutes, and $120 for a full hour. In 2020, I did that. I introduced it. Then I went up on my haircut prices to $60. Then it continued to show my clientele and show me the value that I brought to them and the true worth that I have within my clientele. All right, so that's just the second reason. The third reason that you need to implement this type of service is that it creates a real opportunity for you to be different. Most barbers in our industry, right, will not embrace this type of service. They feel as if, oh, well, if you sit in my chair and you get a cleanup that's really just a haircut. If I do a taper, and I'm doing a full haircut, so I need to charge you $60 for a full haircut. That's thinking. The best way that you need to think is about maximizing your time and attracting people who are really repelled by barbers having that type of ego and mindset. Okay? A lot of people are on a budget, right? And some people just don't want a full haircut, and you need to have options for them. Now I'm done giving you the reasons. It's time for you to believe and take action. There's nothing wrong with proving to yourself that this is possible. Let's try it, all right? So the next part is the guarantee that you have to implement. So this is more on the back end. And when it comes to offering a service like this, you're really talking about maximizing time frames, right? And making sure that you're on time. Now, what makes this possible is the standards that you have for yourself as a barber. Now, I'm trying to slow down and talk about this particular part because it's one thing saying that I'm charging X, Y, and Z, and that I'm really trying my best to position myself to make around 100 to 120 an hour. But you need to make sure that you provide that type of service and up your standards. Meaning, if you're running behind, you need to have guarantees baked into your offerings, right? That if you are late, that you don't just say sorry, that you give your clients a discount, that you offer some type of refund to make them feel how much you truly value them and their time, okay? Again, this is about attracting the right type of client who values time. So if you're going to get that person, lip service ain't going to just do it, right? Having beautiful haircuts ain't going to just do it. If you're running behind, for me, it's 15 minutes. It's rare, but when I am more than 15 minutes behind, I give a $15 discount every time. Now, the way that you can avoid this could be just making sure that your clients know ahead of time that you're running behind. Say you know an hour and a half to 2 hours before your client shows up that you're already running late, then just go ahead and text these people. Everybody that's on your schedule, text them and let them know that you're running behind, right? Communicate with them. But if you don't, I need you to offer a guarantee, all right? Make sure that you guarantee that if you're running behind, you give them a discount. It don't have to be $15, it could be $10, but make sure you give them something back for the wait time. Again, we're creating value and redefining value for the person who really values time. So let's go over a couple frequently asked questions for the cleanup service. Number one is, what exactly is it? The answer to that is, it's whatever the client needs. If a client is bald-headed and they come in for just a full beard shaping and sculpting service once every 2 to 3 weeks, they can book this cleanup service that's just 15 minutes while they're in between full beard sculptings. So what does that mean for this person? It means you just maybe put a line on it in 15 minutes, or you do a quick taper, do a little quick shaping. But again, emphasis on quick because it's about maximizing the time frame. This is about time being valuable, right? The next person may be somebody like me, right? Not a lot of facial hair, but I have a haircut. And this particular haircut that I have right now is about 4 days old. I would love to book a cleanup service with you just to get everything touched up. Not just the lineup, but because my haircut is kind of growing back, do a quick little taper, right? Quick little cleanup of the taper. And again, emphasis on quick, all right? That's another example. Next may be a really simple haircut. So this is another one that may rub some barbers the wrong way, but it's about maximizing time frames and diversifying your clientele. I have a client on my schedule, older white guy, who books the cleanup, who books a 15-minute slot, but all he gets is a 1 on the top and a 0 on the sides. I can easily buzz the top, take the sides down with a 0, get him in and out in 15 minutes. This type of gentleman would not pay $75 to $90 for my full haircut service because he doesn't need all that. But I can still lock him in and still retain him as a client who comes every other week because I give him an option that works exactly for him and for the type of person and type of haircut that he has. So any more questions about what you can possibly do, just put it in the chat with an Amplify. But those 3 examples should give you a pretty good understanding that it just depends on the client. And it's about maximizing that 15 minutes and doing what's most important to them. Say they just want enhancements and they just got a haircut 2 days ago and they want to go out for their birthday. You could spend that 15 minutes just doing some enhancements, redoing the razor line, right? And just give them whatever they want. Charge $30. Watch how your tips go up. Watch how your bottom line goes up, all right? The next frequently asked questions is, what do you do if a client is running late to this 15-minute spot? Well, I do the same thing I do with every other client, every other time slot. Number one, first thing is it reduces what I'm capable of. So if somebody shows up 10 minutes late to a 15-minute slot and it's, say, me, well, now all I have is 5 minutes technically. So I do whatever I can possibly do within 5, maybe 10 minutes or so, right? Maybe being a little bit late on my next client. But it's important that you don't sacrifice your next client, right? You don't make your next client wait super long for somebody that was running late. And that doesn't just apply to the cleanup service, that applies to all your services, right? So that's what I'm thinking about the cleanup service. If somebody's running late, then it reduces how much I can actually do. The next thing that I can do is communicate again with the clients behind them. Make sure I text everybody else, let them know I'm running about 10 minutes behind, right? Giving them a heads up. Remember, we're trying our best to maintain and retain the clients who value time. The last thing you can do in this situation is just mark them as a no-show. If somebody shows up 15 minutes late to a 15-minute appointment, it's a no-show. They missed their appointment time. You need to charge them accordingly for being a no-show. You need to stick to this standard and make sure you're consistent with what you do with somebody running behind. And the last question that I get often about this particular service is, how do I handle people trying to take advantage of it, right? Somebody who books a 15-minute cleanup service, but they really wanted a full haircut. They sit down like, hey, Mike, I need you to take the top down with the one real quick and do a quick taper and, fade out the back real quick, add enhancements, do a razor line. The best way to handle this type of person is to communicate with them through the service description, right? So be clear in the description. Secondly is, again, hand-to-hand directly talking to people. And if somebody books it for the first time, reach out, right? Send them a text message or a quick little voice memo saying, hey, James, I just realized you booked the cleanup service for the first time. I just want to make sure that you understand that this is simply a cleanup. It's not enough time for a full haircut. Do you understand that? ? Send it to them. See what they say. Some people will try to take advantage of it. But again, it's about you having standards and letting them know this is just 15 minutes, bro. So based on you coming in with a full afro, all I can do in this 15 minutes is a lineup. This will make sure that the right person books this appointment and that they have the right expectation when they sit in your chair during the cleanup service. All right, so let's talk about action steps for this video. Number one is I want you to do a soft launch, meaning I want you to go ahead and add this to your offerings online. As far as the description and what you need to say in the description, go to the community and just search for cleanup and you will see different barbers. I think the one that I want to highlight is Tiffany Talada within the community. She actually posted exactly what her description is. It's a perfect way for you just to model, copy and paste it, add it to your description because it breaks down the fact that this is not a full haircut, that this is only a 15-minute slot, so on and so forth. All right, so that's the first step. Do a soft launch, meaning you tell some people about it and you add it to your service offerings. Now about 30 to 60 days later, do a full launch, right? Post about it on your social media, send a text or email campaign introducing everybody to this new cleanup service. And the last action step is, again, just to take action. I want to emphasize that you need to try this out if you haven't already. Add it to your books. Matter of fact, just come to the community, come to one of the collab calls and ask more questions if you need to, or just rewatch this video. But this service works and it's going to be the catalyst for your price increases moving forward. All right, guys, see you in the next video.